Hey guys, I hope everybody's having a fantastic day. Whether you're watching this in the morning, in the afternoon, or in the evening, I'm stoked you guys are here. Real quick, I want to say thanks to all the channel members. Thank you all so much. I appreciate you. And thank you for anybody who stops through to check out my knife, my EDC content. I really appreciate you. And if you're so inclined and you haven't had the chance yet, if you hit that subscribe button and that bell notification icon, it'll really help me out. So today, again, trying to get creative in the content that I put out and see if it's something that interests people. I went through and am looking at my personal collection in different ways, right? And trying to group knives in other ways that I maybe have seen them before. So what I wanted to do today is look at my top 10 kind of what I call stealthy knives, blacked out knives, knives that, you know, are a little more ninja-like, right? Something like the little Devo nip from traditional pocket knives, the blacked out, or the Civivi Quibit that I picked up in the blacked out, pretty blacked out version. And the PMP user too, which does have some splashes of blue, and we'll have some color in some of these knives, but the overall theme are the 10, kind of in the order that I like them in my collection, that are blacked out, stealthy beast. So we're going to start with number 10, and it is a very stealthy knife, a very light knife, a very good knife, a very, very sharp knife. This is the Hog, which is a Sig Sauer manufactured by Hog, K320 Tanto. This is also available in a drop point. It's an axis lock or bar lock style knife with these wonderful polymer style FRN, if you will, grips, but they're Sig Sauer grips. So they feel very ergonomical in the hand, and the choil on the blade, this S30V blade, is fantastic. Just a really nice knife that punches over its weight. A great value in a knife. Super, this is the factory edge, and I mean this is super slicey. It's got a super slicey point, and again it's super tactical, pokey, stabby should you need that, and it's pretty well blacked out except for the Sig Sauer and the Hog, the blade steel, made in America. Nice locking system, really light package, great knife. A little bit more tactical, but I really like it. I think it punches over its weight. And if you wanted an upgraded version of this, they also make it with aluminum handles, and I think in Magna Cut. Really cool knife. Don't overlook it. The Sig Sauer K320, and they have it in drop point or Tanto. Moving on, we come to, I started out by looking at the Vision R, and then I remembered that my Civivi Vision, is it the FG, are both blackouts, right? So this is kind of a dark titanium blacked out 20 CV blade. I love the even though the action's a little snappier on the Civivi. I love the 20 CV, and I'm one of the people that was a fan of this backspacer or this locking system being able to come out if you wanted to clean that pivot. It's never going to come out if you don't give it a hard pull. And I'm a big fan of this side clip. It works very well. But I won't deny that when Civivi came out with the SNEX version, I've learned that when you take this knife apart, there's a little pin in here that you can remove. I didn't do that because I'll probably end up fording this knife off, but you can get it to where you can pull that and get it to pull out if you want to still clean it and have access to that. Again, I didn't see it as a flaw, but it's been removed, that ability in the Civivi, and I think the thumb studs from where my hands lie give it a lot more snap than my version. And then this came with just a steel clip, but I picked up one of the Civivi titanium long clips off of Amazon, and I think it just dressed this knife up nicely. Totally blacked out, pretty stealthy, light to carry, a great cutter. Great blade geometry. As is its sibling, the Wii. And the Wii's much slicier, in my opinion, just the way it sounds going through paper. But yeah, so that's going to come in right at number 9, and that is going to be the Civ Vision R or the Civivi FG. Both of these are available in kind of blacked out models, and they're both, in my opinion, great knives. So moving on, we come to the Besttech Tide Knife and Tool Showan. So this is the larger version of the Exploit, where the Showan here is a Tide Knife and Tool design. It's got a traditional rear flipper, where the Exploit, which I also have, has a front flipper, but it has a golder clip. And then it's got the finger deployment. It's got this fantastic spear point blade, and what I think is one of the best choils in the game. The Tide Knife and Tool is more of an angular, futuristic, basic design language in my opinion, but this grip on this knife with this choil feels absolutely fantastic. It is a very slicey S35 VN blade. It's also very pokey stabby, a splinter remover if you will. And I think it's just a very, very aggressive, stealthy, ninja-like knife, right? Dark, doesn't take up a lot of room, almost a deep carry clip, not a lot of flash, flattened, dark, sniper, gray-black, and it's just a banger, in my opinion. And that is the Besttech Tide Knife and Tool Showan. And moving on, we come to the first real Strider collaboration that I brought into my collection, and this is the Protex Strider PT207. Totally blacked out. You've got a black textured aluminum handle. You've got a black coated MagnaCut blade. You've got what I think are fantastic ergonomics, and I really came with this knife after experiencing an Grow to absolutely fall in love with the design so much that I picked up another knife that we'll see here, and then I picked up a real deal Strider. But this guy is not only stealthy, it is very slicey, it takes up very little pocket real estate, and it is very much a multi-purpose EDC knife. Small but aggressive. Very, very much a blacked out ninja style knife in my opinion, because again, deep carry clip, very small, very concealable, very dark black, and then very easy to deploy and close with one hand, making it just a fantastic tool in my opinion. And so I think that's going to be 10, 9, 8, number 7 I think this is, which brings us to number 6. Guys, this knife should actually be higher than number 6. I just got a lot of really good knives and I've kind of just thrown them in here. This is the Grant Gripper 3.5. Mine's solid as a rock. Designed by Jason Grant. OEM by Besttech. Multiple deployment methods. It came with brass, bronze pivot collars. I was able to pick up these black ones from a brother in the community. So the only thing that's not black on this knife is the Grant G. Doesn't have any billboarding on this S35 VN blade, which is a deep hollow grind that has probably one of the pokiest splinter digger tips that I've ever used. But is an absolute slicer. That hollow grind is brutal. It is tactical. It's very pokey stabby, but yet for an everyday carry knife, it's got great action. Again, so many different deployment methods, from the front flip to the traditional flip, to the, you could do the thumb flick or the slow roll, I won't embarrass myself, or the middle finger flick. This is a full-size knife, right about a 4-inch blade, but it carries like a much smaller knife, and it's a stealthy, badass slicer. So that is the Grant Gripper in all black, and that brings us to number 5, I believe. So 5 is this big chunky beast right here. This is, where'd my coin go? Hold on, guys. This is the PMP Titano, which is, give me 2 seconds, which is probably the biggest knife in my collection in weight, and it's probably one of the most reckless, non-needed knife purchases I've made. But the reason I bought it is because I appreciate the fact that somebody was willing to build it, because I think it's just so cool. I'm going to use this dime with this tape to give my pivot a little snug up to center that dead nuts. Now it's dead nut centered. This is the black version of the PMP Titano. It's got a flipper tab. Whoop, I hit the mat. And it's got a deployment hole. And that is the biggest chunk of M390 that I've ever seen in my collection. This fills the hand, or M390, this fills the hand like nobody's business. I can feel the clip, but jokingly, this thing weighs about 11.8 ounces. But when it goes in your pocket, because it's such a narrow, it's probably a 0.6 inch thick knife, but it does ride pretty comfortably in the pocket for what it is. I've been very surprised by it. I'm also very surprised by its ability to chop and its ability to slice. Of course, it's got a little thicker geometry that's a little bit more hard use, right? Hard use Tanto, but it's still very slicey for what it is. If I wasn't gonna pass this knife on, sell it, which I think I'm going to, I would send it to Satu, Dave, and have a regrind put on it. But again, I think it's one of those knives that's kind of a collector's knife that somebody might really like. I really like it. It's a huge knife. It's got fantastic action. I did do a full breakdown video on this knife and put skiffs in it, and am amazed by the quality of the hardware that they use and the ease of which it comes apart, and just the way that it's so beefy. I mean, look at that stop pin. I mean, that thing is locked up like a vault. So the PMP Tanto, or Titano, is a definite stealthy beast, a huge stealthy beast. And I'm going to let it come in at number 5, which is going to bring us over to number 4, which is the second Strider collaboration I brought into my collection. And I started off with the PT207, and then I had a chance to trade for this SNG Protex Strider, which is the larger version. This is the size that I ended up getting in my first Strider frame lock. But this is a fantastic automatic knife. This one has smooth aluminum handles, CPM 150 or 154 cm blade, very, very pointy, pokey, stabby, tactical, sharp, and again, splinter digger type stabby, but a fantastic one-hand knife. I used to not be a fan of automatic knives. This knife really kind of turned the tide for me, which brought me some other Protex, which has kind of turned into a bigger part of my collection than it used to be, and I give a lot of that credit to the Protex Striders. But this guy's going to come in at number 4, which is going to slam us right into number 3, which is the stealthiest of the stealthy knives that I probably have, if you're looking at overall stealthiness. For example, I handed this to my buddy, A to Z. He's got a Whiskers number 1. He hadn't read about the Whiskers 2, and he couldn't open it. And if I handed it to my mom or to somebody that had never seen one, they wouldn't know that your palm basically actuates this knife. That's why you've got this little bit of jimping here. So I basically hold the knife and then twitch the palm of my hand as opposed to the top of the bolster here, and it opens that honking 154 cm blade. And this thing is long, it is tactical, the only flash is on the spring, and it is an absolute therapeutic slicer and pokey stabby everyday carry knife. I mean, I really think it is the perfect EDC knife. Something that I've been interested in. I've got to handle one at the Nashville Custom Knife Show, and I really liked the fact that A, it's very, very solid. B, I love the way it opens because it's kind of its own safety feature, because you would not know how to open that if you didn't know. You know, if you know, you know. So I think it's a very stealthy, blacked out, sweet knife, and it's the Protex Magic Whiskers number 2, which brings us to number 2. And this is my Renegade Provisions God of Mischief. Probably one of the best detents in the game, definitely in my collection. I chose the black bolsters with the black micarta, black clip, black hardware, black blade. And this is a stealthy, comfortable, fantastically crafted front flipper with a wonderful deployment slot that has some of the best action. Like I said, in my collection, it's a little stronger detent than a lot of the knives in my collection, but I love that for my style of deployment. And it's got this hollow ground blade that is so slicey, and it's so pleasurable to cut with. So the God of Mischief is number 2, the GOM. I'm glad that I got the blacked out one. It is a stealthy, badass knife. I'm stoked to have it. Number 1 is my Grail. It's not altogether blacked out, but it's going to pass because it's a tactical knife. My Michael Zieba S5. This one does have the Odin pattern. So it's a blacked out knife that has some laser artwork on it, right? With some hieroglyphics, not hieroglyphics, some ruins, and the Odin pattern, the god of whatever. Got Till Valhalla on the clip, but this is a blacked out knife if you don't get the customized one. And then it utilizes a blacked out M390 Knight Designs Jason Knight blade. This beautiful tactical recurve with this nice blood groove in the blade. And guys, this is a knife that comes from Brooklyn, New York. It's handcrafted and it's wonderfully tuned. It's extremely sharp. It's extremely tactical. When I say tactical, if you needed to save a Slurpee with it, it's going to be up to the challenge. It does have a little bit of flash, like the back of the backspacer has ruins, which I don't know what those mean. And then the backspacer itself is bronze or copper skulls that are hand jeweled, because that's what Michael does. And then, yeah, but I look at it as a blacked out, stealthy beast. It's not a traditional stealthy knife because it does have some color, but for this video, I felt like it was due. It had to be there, and it had to take the top spot because it's such a special knife. So guys, that is my top 10 blacked out, stealthy ninja-like knives from my collection. Again, these are knives that I bought, that I keep in the collection unless I sell them to one of you guys or trade them. And they bring me a lot of stees, right? So I'm going to take the Tanto out of there. And I'm going to see if we can get a couple more in. I'm not going to move my B up out of frame. It's going to stay there. Thank you, Joe Isabella. We'll look at a few black knives lined up here. Stealthy beasts. Let's open the Shodan. And let's take our Civ Vision R. And we will part ways there, guys. I appreciate you watching the video. I always appreciate you coming by to check out the content. I hope you come back in whatever capacity, whether you subscribe or not. I love having you here. I do ask if you would please look out for the guy or gal to your left or your guy or gal to your right, both sides. Look out for each other. Go forward with love in your heart. And please, choose debate, not hate. I love you all. Peace.